All right, thank you for tuning in to the second episode of The Echo. I'm Jared Griswold, and with me today is Pastor Becky Goche. And we will just be, having a little more fun questions this time around in comparison to the last time.
Yeah, last week sounded pretty darn hard.
Well, that's because he was the new guy, though. As always, we only have one announcement. It's just that we need help during all of our announcement services and all of our worship services. We need ushers, worship coordinators, communion servers, tech people, altar ministry. And there's a sign-up board in the North X, or you can sign up on our website. All right, now let's just get to the simple questions.
Simple.
All right. Why don't you introduce yourself?
What do you want to know? I'm
Just a basic rundown. You don't need to go into too much detail.
okay.
I got tons of questions for
Okay. Well, I'm Becky Journey. I've been pastor here at English Lutheran since August 1st of 2017. I'm a second career pastor. My first career, I was a park ranger for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service for many years and went back to school, seminary, which was very hard at an old age. School had changed a lot. And so this is my first call after coming out of seminary. But I'm originally from northern Iowa, grew up on a farm, and you know the saying, you can take the girl off the farm, but you can never take the girl or take the farm out of the girl. I got that. So
I mean, what made you switch, I guess, from park ranger, you said?
Park ranger, yeah.
To being a pastor?
I get that question a lot. I did my undergrad in biology and psychology. I was originally, way back when, wanted to be a bioengineer, and then I got to atomic physics, and I had no idea what they were talking about, so I said, yeah, this is not for me. So I just changed to biology, and when I was in college, one of my summer jobs, I worked in my home county in Iowa as a naturalist, so I got to work with children and leading hikes, teaching them about nature. And I fell in love with it, so I got a career, or I worked as a park ranger for the Fish and Wildlife Service. Loved it, best job ever. Spent most of my time in Michigan, in Saginaw, Michigan, and majority of my job was doing education, but I also had law enforcement authority. I also was a wildland firefighter. Got to do duck surveys and things like that, make trails. And I always felt that there was something more. I was active in church. I was born and raised Catholic, but then when I got out of college, I started searching other denominations, and I fell upon Lutheran. Of course, I did not realize that there are strands, I guess you could say, multi-families of Lutheran, and so I started out Missouri Synod, which, didn't work out quite so well for me, and then found ELCA. But I always felt there was something more. So I was on the church councils. I was helping with their social justice ministries. And what kind of sealed the deal, in Michigan we had a lay, what was it called? It was a lay ministers training program. We have something similar in this synod called the School of Theology for lay people. And I started listening to professors from seminary at Trinity Seminary at that time down in Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, and fell in love with it because I love learning. And I really didn't think seminary was an option for someone like me. And then in 2009, the ELCA made a decision to open ministry to ordain LGBTQ plus people. And it was kind of an aha moment for me. And so I started seminary, and I guess you could say the rest is history. But I'm still very connected to the natural world, creation, birds, things like that. And I see kind of a natural progression, because a lot of my career has helped me to be, I hope to be a better pastor for people. Just things I learned before, especially working with young people and people of all ages. So that was a long answer for probably a short question.
No, that's totally fine. Feel free to have all the long answers you want.
Well, I won't be as long-winded, hopefully, as Pastor Mark. No, I'm teasing.
He was a pretty short answer
for
the interview. I mean, I guess what brought you to this area, though? like this area specifically? You said you're from Idaho? You said?
I'm from Iowa.
Iowa, sorry. my
Iowa.
bad.
I've lived in lots of different places. I actually worked for, as a park ranger, actually, I was a biologist at that time, up in Trempealeau. That was one of my first jobs with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And the way the ELCA works, when I went to seminary, I was assigned to a region in the United States. There's multiple regions, don't ask me how many. And then I was assigned to a synod, and I was assigned to La Crosse area synod. And I had placed in there that I needed to be in a space or in a place that had a lot of federal jobs, particularly Fish and Wildlife Service, because my wife still works for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And that's how I ended here. And English Lutheran decided to interview me, and then they must have liked what I said, and so they ended up calling me.
Nice. What would you say is like, what's a driving force for you, you'd say?
What gets me up in the morning type thing?
Yeah, that type of thing. Like, what gets you out?
Well, ministry is both the joy, and it can also be very difficult, but even in the hard times, there is still joy. What helps me thrive here, particularly at English, is the staff. The staff here are just wonderful to work with. They're very gifted, very passionate about their ministries, and they're so very helpful. Otherwise, what else gets me up is even though I'm an introvert, I enjoy working with people. I especially enjoy doing visits with some of our elders, our shut-ins, making hospital visits, and, even working with our middle school students, which is a very hard age to be. I remember when I was in middle school, there's just a lot going on with everything. I just enjoy their energy and their curiosity and the gifts they have.
All right, so a bit of a more like traditional question. What type of music do you like?
What type of music? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, always a difficult choice for people to depend on.
Wow. I like a lot of music. I was
Pretty safe answer.
Yeah. I mean, in church music, I love hearing the organ. Now, I was not always that way, and I didn't realize how much I appreciated organ music until I heard it played well. That's the secret, and Trevor is wonderful. So I like the traditional hymns, but also like the Super Bowl. I loved the hip-hop artists, probably because they were, I guess, the 90s frame, so I appreciated that. Right now on my radio dial, as I was coming in tonight, I was listening to Broadway tunes, so I have pretty eclectic music. Don't listen to country music very much, sorry. It's not one of my favorites, but Pink is one of my favorite artists, and I've seen her in concert, and she's just amazing to watch.
No doubt. I gotta ask, so if you don't listen to country though, what about Johnny Cash though?
Oh, he surpasses country. I do like Johnny Cash. I have some of his greatest hits. I like the color black, so he always spoke to me. I like the stories, I like the stories that they tell in country music, even though I don't listen to it that much.
I mean, a bunch of them are the same, but I think Johnny Cash has always had like a little special place considering how good all of his songs are.
Yes.
Alrighty, what are some of your favorite movies and/or TV shows?
Oh my gosh, movies and TV shows.
You can answer one at a time. We can start with movies.
Well, I really like the Marvel Universe. The Avengers series, particularly Captain Marvel, is probably one of my favorites. TV shows, I don't like all reality shows, but The Voice is one of my favorite shows to watch.
No, The Voice is a good one.
And one of my newer, I watch a lot of series. Schitt's Creek was one of my favorite series to watch. Right now I'm watching Abbott Elementary, which is similar in my mind to The Office, which was another one of my favorites, but it's kind of a funny look at public education in a public school of of African Americans, and they kind of put a funny twist, but yet there's seriousness about it too. So I watch a lot of things. Most of the stuff I watch is on DVR, or I watch recorded because I can't stay up late to watch Stephen Colbert. I just see the highlights.
No, fair
of
enough,
him.
fair enough. Now this is related. If you had to say, what is your favorite genre of film or TV?
Favorite genre?
Yeah. Personally, mine's westerns. Absolutely love
Westerns?
it. I love westerns.
Oh my gosh, we did a study on westerns in our Old Testament class. That was but anyway, spaghetti westerns type
Yeah,
thing?
like a few dollars more, a fistful of dollars, and you got the good, the bad, and the ugly and stuff.
Okay, Clint
Classic.
Eastwood, and okay. I do like westerns. I like action adventure, and I like comedy. Yeah, action adventure, I'd have to say.
Now this is a question.
And of course Disney too, for the young people who may be watching. I like the Disney stuff
Oh, yeah,
too,
love
especially
Disney, of
Finding Nemo, Finding Dory. Yeah.
Now this is a question I threw in here, but not a lot of people have a good answer. My brother would, of course, but do you have a favorite book?
A favorite book?
And the Bible's cheating. You can't say that.
I can't say the Bible?
No.
What's multiple books? What if I said a book of the Bible?
Oh, that's cheating.
I'm kidding. Favorite book? Oh my goodness. Diary of Anne Frank. I really like that. The book called Raven. I've been into a lot of World War II, particularly the Holocaust type books. So a lot of those. One of my favorite authors is Stephen King. I read a lot of his scary stuff way back when I was much younger. And just recently I read one of his books called Billy Summers. And he's just such a wonderful writer. So what I'm reading right now is, oh gosh, I can't even think of it. Anyway, I read a lot of books. It's been hard for me to get back into reading, especially after seminary, because I had to read so much. But I'd have to say the true crime. I enjoy that too.
Nope,
so Anne Rule.
Understandable. Alrighty. Favorite football team?
Who put you up to this?
I mean, it's just on the page.
It's on the paper?
Anyone could have done it.
Well, it's not the Green Bay Packers. It's not the Buffalo Bills. It's the Minnesota Vikings, and I've been a Minnesota Vikings fan since I was little. Living in northern Iowa, of course, we have no professional teams, contrary to what some people in Iowa think that Iowa State and University of Iowa are professional teams. They are not. But I guess I like the Minnesota Vikings because it's what we watched on Sundays. And I remember when I was younger, I have two older sisters who went to college in Mankato, and at that time, that's where they held their summer training camp. So back in the days of Bud Grant, I would go and watch them practice and not hang out with them, but I would just see them because I was a little thing. But so Vikings, despite that they can't ever win very much.
I'm sure it'll happen someday.
Someday. I think that makes me a better pastor because it fosters hope.
You have to be hopeful to be a Vikings fan.
It's
That's
like
exactly what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Got to be a lot of hope there. Now, this is kind of in the same ballpark. Do you have any other sports that you watch besides football?
Watch a lot of college football, college basketball. Also enjoy watching baseball. I support the Chicago Cubs, probably because I lived in Des Moines, Iowa for a while, and I was able to watch the Iowa Cubs. So like Chris Bryant's, I saw his very first game when he was with them, and he struck out every single time. And he's, of course, no longer with the Cubs, and I really don't know who's on the Cubs anymore because there's been so much change. I really enjoyed the Olympics the past couple of weeks. I really got into curling, and that was a lot of fun, and watching the biathlon and the cross-country skiing. So, like a lot of sports.
No, that's fine. All right, now we're gonna switch gears. I have two serious questions for you. Unlike Pastor Mark, who had like 100 or however many I asked him. I guess being a former park ranger, I'm kind of curious. What is your opinion on climate change?
Well, that's an excellent question. part of my job when I was with the Fish and Wildlife Service was education, so I was always trying to teach people about the importance of habitat and the wildlife, and so I'm very concerned about climate change and the impacts, not only because water is rising, we're going to lose some of our coastland and the habitats there and the wildlife and people that depend on those areas, not only in the United States, but other continents and countries will be affected by it. And, there are things we could do, but, I'm as guilty as everybody else. I mean, I drove here tonight. I didn't carpool or ride public transportation. So, but, even, I think it's important for us to realize it is a huge problem, but even if we're able to do little things, we can help prevent it, or not prevent it, help slow it down, hopefully.
No, I agree. Those are good points. Now, a question about the church. Is there anything for the future that you would like to see the church do, or are there potentially more immediate changes you'd like to see?
Wow, that's an open-ended question.
Absolutely.
I'm excited that English is pursuing the Reconciling in Christ process and discussions. I think that's very important to be intentionally welcoming of all people, in particular LGBTQIA, as well as people of color. I'm also curious, excited, interested to see where we're going to go. I want to say after COVID, but I think COVID is going to be with us for quite some time. It's just going to become like, other viruses that we have to deal with, that we're going to be constantly dealing with. But I'm just curious, how is that going to impact, because some of our folks are worshiping online, some are here, is that going to be a model that we're going to carry forward? I suspect we will, but how is it going to alter and change other things? I think, perhaps COVID was maybe even a gift. There was a lot of grief and sorrow and loss related to it, but I think there are also nuggets of joy and of absolutely grace found in it. And I think maybe one of the gifts that I have found in COVID personally is that all the extraneous things and activities that I was involved in when we had to stay home and basically look at only our four walls, more or less, it was exciting to meet my neighbors in the neighborhood. Had COVID not been a part of it, that probably never would have happened because we couldn't really go anyplace, or we only were to meeting outside. So I think there have been some gifts, and I'm just wondering how that's going to translate, not only at English, but in the broader church. It made it abundantly clear the disparities among people, among our wealth, and the people who are considered essential and had to work and couldn't stay home because they provided services, and just all the folks who lost jobs and housing and all the other things. And I just hope I hope we don't forget. I hope we wake up and continue to be concerned and think about and help provide a hand up, to use the Habitat for Humanity phrase, not provide a hand up, but a hand up for those folks who need it especially. No,
absolutely. Great answer. That was a great answer.
It was a rambling answer, so hopefully you followed it.
No, but it was a great answer. All right, that was all the questions I had, but let's see. There are 2 questions that we got here.
Oh, dear.
They're pretty tame, don't worry.
Okay.
The first one should be super easy, and I expect a really fast answer. What is your favorite bird and why? Which came in on the Facebook, apparently.
You think, what is my favorite bird and why?
That is literally the question.
And you thought that would be a fast answer? Oh, my goodness.
You're a former park ranger.
It is not a fast answer because I like so many different birds for various reasons. The black-capped chickadee is a gregarious, outgoing, courageous little bird, and they don't meet anyone they don't like, and they're just exciting. Plus, you can see them year-round here, and they come to feeders. So that's one of my favorites. I love the wood duck. The males are super colorful, and the females, of course, are more camouflage, bland, so that their nests, so I like their colors, and that they nest in trees, which is pretty amazing. And the young, when they come tumbling out of the trees, they just plop in the water or sometimes on the hard ground, and they follow mom and dad and head to the water. So just this innate survival instinct that they have. And I enjoy watching bald eagles too, especially in the wintertime when they all congregate around open water to fish and whatever. So it wasn't a short answer. So those are, and I could go on and on
No,
about
I didn't
different
say
birds.
short answer. I said I wanted a fast answer. Those are two different things. Alrighty, and the second question, to round us out, this is actually pretty wholesome. What is your favorite Bible story?
My favorite Bible story. Well, I really, I have many of them. I mean, Ruth and Naomi, I was just reading their story today, and about Hesed. I know Pastor Mark talked a lot about Hesed last week, and just how Ruth followed Naomi for belongingness. But one of my favorites is Jephthah's daughter, which is in the Old Testament in Judges, I believe. And Jephthah was a judge, and he was kind of arrogant, and he basically said, God, if you let me conquer these people, win this next battle, I will sacrifice whoever greets me at the door when I come back from battle. Well, it was his daughter, and we don't know her name, and just her faithfulness. It's a bloody story, but it's a fascinating story. So here is a man who has a spirit of God resting with him, knew he was going to win the battle, but still he said this silly phrase, and the daughter followed through with her faithfulness. So that's one of my favorite. So I like a lot of the stories about the women. Of course, I like all Jesus' stories. I like when he overturns tables, and and I like John the Baptist when he says, "You brood of vipers." That's kind of fun too. That's fun to preach on. I believe that was Pastor Mark's first sermon here. And
I actually think you're right. Absolutely. Alrighty, well, that is it. No more questions.
yes.
All right. Thank you, Pastor Becky, for joining me on this. And for people tuning in, leave any criticism or feedback or things you want us to change in the comments on either the YouTube, or you can throw it to our Facebook and I can check it there. And there will be no episode next week, but there will be one the following week on March 8th at the usual 6 p.m. on Tuesday, and we will have Kristen Ahrens on for that.
Nice.
Alrighty, I'll see you all in 2 weeks.
Thanks, Jared.
Thank you.